Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing today? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater. And Venom was a movie that came out in October of 2018, and it was a surprising success. And when I say that, I mean that literally. Venom was a massive box office success, as shown here by a Screen Rant article on October 25th of Venom just holding all the money. Never mind the fact that its Rotten Tomatoes score was not good, 29%, based on 327 reviews, but the audience score based off of 38,000 gives it an 81%. People enjoyed the movie, and as a result of that, well, money followed. $100 million production budget, followed by $213 million here domestically, and $856 million from the worldwide box office. A lot of that was China. China really liked Venom. So, of course, Sony was going to be working on a sequel. Sony was going to be doing that, right? Well, today we got confirmation that Venom 2 officially sets Andy Serkis to direct the movie. Now, I know what you're thinking. Andy Serkis, oh my God, hell yeah. Right? A lot of that. I talked about this last week, too, with Andy Serkis being rumored to direct it. And a lot of people are really excited, even though I was a bit... I had my trepidations, and I still do, but this is what the article says. It says, Andy Serkis is officially directing Venom 2. Last year, the first Venom movie proved to be a massive box office hit, despite earning mostly negative reviews from critics. With Tom Hardy starring in the role, Venom earned a whopping $856 million worldwide against a production budget of only $100 million, ensuring that follow-ups would be made. Sony was extremely confident in what they had before Venom premiered, as they included a post-credit stinger featuring a blatant sequel setup with Woody Harrelson's Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage. Real quick though, side note, let's be fair here. It's not that Sony was extremely confident. They just happen to know that post-credit scenes in comic book films do really effing well. Right? They do really effing well. They do really good. We all know this. And if you're going to tease something, that's going to get solid word of mouth going like, oh my God, did you see the end credit scene? No, what was that? Well, it wasn't just the lead in for Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, the mid-credit scene was all about Carnage. Carnage is coming, right? And people are like, whoa, what? Carnage? Oh my God. Right? A lot of very orgasmic sounds being made by people because of their love of Carnage. Yeah, I love Carnage. I don't know about you. But anyway, going on to say here that despite the overwhelming success of Venom, the sequel is poised to change up the creative team. Director Ruben Fleischer is not returning, as evidenced by reports in late July, and that Sony was searching for his replacement. One of those names, interestingly enough, was Andy Serkis. Hardy went even as far as to tease Serkis' hiring on social media, and now it's official. Serkis is directing Venom number 2. Now, here's the thing with that I don't get. One, Ruben Fleischer is getting Zombieland 2, which just had his first trailer drop, which looks pretty great. And he did Zombieland for them, and he did Venom for them, and Venom was a huge success. And I know he had a fast turnaround for Zombieland to get that to come out this year. You know, shooting it in January, releasing in October. I get that it's a rush. But Venom is slated for next year, right? Like a year from now. I think a little less than a year from now. He probably, if they haven't even started filming it now, I don't see why he can't do both, to be fair. But Andy Serkis, though. Andy Serkis, on the other hand, is a man of many faces. Seriously, look at this. Caesar, Smeagol, Haddock, Snoke, Kong, Baloo. These are all iconic characters, with the exception of Baloo down there in the bottom right. What in the ever-loving ass is that? That is terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying. But the rest are pretty cool. I mean, Snoke even. Snoke was great in The Last Jedi. He looked fantastic. Terrible character development, because he had none. But still, Andy Serkis is known for these sort of things. Smeagol, we all still, here it is, over 15 years later from Return of the King. People still talk about Smeagol. They love him in the role. It made Andy Serkis a household name. The 3 films, the 3 Planet of the Apes prequels, with Andy Serkis as Caesar. Oh my God, great stuff. Tintin. Love me some Tintin, 100%. Kong was a great adaptation as well. Fantastic movie there. I mean, really just exemplifying the talents. I still can't get over how crazy Baloo looks. I really wish she wasn't that bad. I mean, like, seriously, look at that. We're gonna try to bring in this one here a little bit. Look at that. That's just horribly frightening right there. Just look at that jaw. I didn't put this image together. Whoever did is a madman and crazy for doing it. Anyway, So yeah, Serkis is doing all that. So let's take a look here at everything. So this is Andy Serkis's first movie, Breathe, his first directorial effort here, with 68% on the tomato meter, 71% from the audience score. I mean, clearly looking pretty good. Saying that strong performances from Breathe's well-matched leads help add an edge to a biopic that takes a decidedly heartwarming approach to its real-life story. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But then we get to Mowgli here. Now we get to Mowgli, and not as good. 52% on the tomato meter, 53% from the audience score. Now, granted, the amount of people who voted on either is fewer, so that's a thing. But it says here that Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, brings impressive special effects to bear, pun intended, on the darker side of its classic source material, but loses track of the story's heart along the way. Now, the reason why that's important is that a lot of what made Venom a success was the heart and the dark comedy. So the darker source material, as well as it being like a rom-com. People were saying if you watch it like a rom-com, it's a lot better of a movie, which I just happen to agree with. But this is an interesting article here because this is the truth behind Mowgli was interesting. Andy Serkis, this is coming from Scott Mendelson, to take him for a grain of salt from Forbes, saying Andy Serkis' Mowgli, can Warner Brothers trash become Netflix's treasure? And this is an interesting thing because it says when it was produced by and intended to be released by Warner Brothers this past October, it was a long shot and likely a super flop, both thanks to Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book, which earned strong reviews and $966 million worldwide 2.5 years ago. And due to the history of Warner Brothers' various attempts to toss various IPs like Pan, King Arthur, and Tarzan into the Batman Begins box, but as Netflix acquisition, it's another shot at showing that they can do blockbusters as well as the studios. And again, look at this number here, 52%, 53%. The movie just did not stack up. So there's a reason why Warner Brothers ditched it and dumped it over to Netflix. And this is one of the same things that happened with Cloverfield Paradox, right? Like Paramount dropped 50 million on the movie, and Netflix offered them 40 million for it. So they got their amount. You know what I mean? They made the money back they might have potentially lost. And as a result of that, we find ourselves in a situation where Andy Serkis is now directing Venom 2. And the two aren't correlated at all. There's no connection there. I'm just merely using them as comparison for why, certain companies can drop certain things and other companies can pick them up. But for me, the most interesting factor when it comes to Venom was the writing, because the writing really wasn't that great. And it was written, at least its final draft, by Kelly Marcel here. Now, Marcel and Tom Hardy, they go back. They go way back. And he brought her in to write the last draft of Venom. So I don't know necessarily how much of it was her versus how much of it was the previous writers, right? To give you guys an idea about that, back when Kevin Smith wrote a draft for Coyote Ugly, he was one of like 5 writers on that movie overall. And the idea about the comic book shop, the comic books, is what made it into the final cut. That was his contribution. I don't know what her contribution is, but looking over here at her IMDb pages for just writing, we can see that she did create the show Terra Nova for Fox and wrote a bunch of the episodes, which is an interesting concept. And it crashed after 13 episodes. It just didn't do it well. Saving Mr. Banks was meant to be Oscar fare for Disney, releasing it during the winter of 2012 or 2013 is when, the wintertime 2013. And it came out and didn't do very well. Not that it was a good movie, but it just didn't do very well. And then she also wrote 50 Shades of Grey. Now, a lot of you right there might go, yeah, that's terrible. That's absolutely garbage. That's right? And I don't blame you. 50 Shades is a terrible movie, but she also then wrote Venom. Now she's doing Cruella, the untitled Elvis Presley project, and Venom 2. So it's kind of like failing her way upwards. If I'm being fair, is like that. But looking deeper into just her information on IMDb, I came across this passage concerning 50 Shades of Grey, and I wanted to share it to just give you guys the other side of the coin. So according to this piece, it says revealed that she wasn't able to watch 50 Shades because it reminded her of how her original screenplay was eventually changed by the novel's author E.L. James, and that the final script felt too much of a compromise for the screenwriter. Marcel said the difference between what she'd imagined and what eventually ended up on the screen was too big of a mountain for her to overcome. When she delivered her draft, James told her that she liked it, but the fans wouldn't because they wanted a faithful adaptation. For days, Marcel and James worked on it until the novelist was happy with the result, which Marcel calls 50% hers and 50% James. And if you're like me and you've suffered through that movie, I don't know how to make it any better. There's clearly ways to make it worse, but it was a low bar. And she's kind of like stepping back. Well, I wrote this amazing movie. I wrote this amazing thing. Not really. I don't care if you want to call it a Frankenstein of two parts here, merged into one. It's still pretty bad. So there's that. But then we get to the question involving Venom 2. Right? Now, I don't know what storylines are going to pull from. All I know is Cletus Cassidy is going to be a big part of it because Sony did want to, Ruben Fleischer got his old pal Woody Harrelson to come on board. And they made that a post-credit scene, which, by the way, if you have the home video, they have an extended version of the scene. It's extended by maybe like 30 seconds. And it's a lot better. It's just a little bit more, but the scene itself works out pretty well. And I think bringing Carnage is going to be a good way to do that. But of course, that's going to require them to bring in Spider-Man to fight Carnage. And right now, well, the rights for that are not fully decided yet in regards to whether or not Sony's going to continue with the Spider-Man franchise over at Marvel. Although the movie did pull in over $1 billion, so it would make sense that that's going to be the case. And the way that Sony and Marvel broke down the rights, well, who knows what's going to happen? Peter Parker could make an appearance. Tom Holland as Peter Parker could make an appearance, but not as Spider-Man. That's going to be a long shot anyway. So I'm not too sure where things are going to go with that one. But at the end of the day, I'm cautiously optimistic for this. I know they're going to be focusing on more of the dark comedy versus the other, but I don't see Kelly Marcel as a dark comedy writer. I don't see Andy Serkis as a dark comedy director. In a perfect world, someone like Todd Phillips would be the person to come in and handle this property, because I think that he would be able to mix violence and carnage and comedy all together and make it a good, solid ride. But of course, we're going to see him in the Joker coming up in a few months, and maybe, just maybe he'll jump over for Venom 3. Who knows what's going to be happening with all that? But anyway, this is what I know about Venom 2. What are your thoughts about this one? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Please subscribe. Please toss a like. Let's try to get to 200 likes. And I look forward to your thoughts. All right, guys. Peace out.